Hello everyone and welcome back to APWC. So this month, apart from all the shows and movies that I've already reviewed on this channel, I watched some other movies and shows as well and thought it would be unfair to not talk about them. So without wasting any time, let's begin.
Ready.
Presumed Innocent, Season 1. Jake Gyllenhaal as a lawyer. Wait, a convicted lawyer who is presumed to have killed his colleague. Wait, his colleague with whom he had an affair. And this doesn't stop here. With so many twists and turns, it was an absolute thrill to watch Presumed Innocent. I enjoyed it and it did occasionally remind me of The Undoing, but the ending twist was something I had not expected. Based on a book by Scott Turow, which I would definitely like to read someday, this show is a must-watch for people who like suspense courtroom dramas.
I am not honorable. But the irony is, I hope that you are.
Next, I watched MaXXXine, the third part in Ty West's X trilogy, for which I didn't have high hopes. If you look at all the three films, they feel like an extended audition of Mia Goth, showcasing how fucking talented she is.
Cause I'm a star. Ain't nobody else like me. The whole world's gonna know my name.
Well, to be honest, MaXXXine felt better than Pearl, but not as good as X. X was something else altogether. The best part about MaXXXine is the duration, which is hardly 1 hour 44 minutes. And I'm happy that they didn't add unnecessary subplots to increase the duration. The star cast is the highlight of this film, but my only grouse is that Halsey is not even there for 5 minutes. Anyways, if you have watched both X and Pearl, then do watch MaXXXine. Also, I'm genuinely interested to read the 3 novels that are being released. Next, I watched Golam. One of my friends asked my opinion about Golam, and this is exactly what I told him.
And Rahim, I think it's a murder.
That it's a decent flick, but somewhere it reminded me of Murder on the Orient Express, and that butchered my experience. The pharmaceutical virus debris also was a bit played out, but the entire suspense revelation was great, no doubt. The cast is good, keeping the budget in mind, but leaving it on a cliffhanger is arguably the worst way to end a film, which may never have a sequel.
Chal jhoota.
Mollywood has the best writing when it comes to such thrillers, and Atom is a fine example of that. I never imagined 12 Angry Men could be remade in such a setup, and I've already spoken about that on this channel. Next, I watched Twisters. Well, if you have watched the 1996 OG, then this might feel like a letdown. But on its own, this film has some great sequences. The ranch scene was, in my opinion, the best, and the opening scene needs to be highlighted.
I've got you, Kate! I've got you!
I'll be honest, what I felt while watching the third act of the 96 OG is something I expected to be recreated, but surprisingly they could not. They were pretty close though. Still, it's a great movie and can be enjoyed nonetheless. For such films, you gotta experience them in 4DX or IMAX, and I think I missed that opportunity. Next, I watched Despicable Me 4. I like to watch good animated films which have some kind of messaging or at least provide a fun time. Unfortunately, Despicable Me 4 doesn't fall under either of the categories. Still, if you want something light before you go to sleep, then this film is your go-to option. Next, I watched 8 AM Metro. The movie begins with the line, कभी कभी दो लोग रात में गुजरने वाले जहाज़ों की तरह होते हैं, जो संयोग से एक दो बार मिलते हैं और फिर जिंदगी में कभी नहीं मिलते. The twist at the end was something I hadn't predicted, and it definitely left me teary-eyed. This film falls in the genre of movies like Masan, Past Lives, Three of Us, In the Mood for Love, and I don't know why I like such slow and verbose films. Once such movies end, you just sit and stare in the oblivion and start pondering about life. And once this movie ended, I was left with one question. Can our generation ever experience such kind of affection, which is so platonic in nature?
आप किसी को जज नहीं करते।
मेरे खुद के अंदर इतनी सारी कमियां हैं तो मैं किसी को क्या जज करूं?
खुद को नहीं जज कर रही।
Next, I watched Darling. This film had a lot of potential, but somewhere the execution failed. It unfortunately falls under the देखा एक बार और भूल गया उसके बाद कैटेगरी. तो चलो इसको भूल जाते हैं और अगले मूवी पे जंप करते हैं. Next, I watched Turbo. Quite interesting to see Mammootty pull off this character at the age of 72, especially after doing Brahma Yugam. If you think Mammootty is capable of doing films like Brahma Yugam, Kadal the Core, Nanpakkal Neratha Mayagam, then he can also pull off Bhishma Parvam, Turbo and Bazooka, which will be releasing soon. This is a palate cleanser for Mammootty after a series of serious roles, and that's why it felt so unreal and fresh.
ഇത് ജോസാ സാറേ, Turbo Joss.
The storyline isn't something new and has elements of many films of the same genre, but Mammootty's actions and his witty dialogues carry the film without any major lags.
Tony Stark മരിച്ചു പോയടാ മോനെ. അതാരാ?
അയൺമാൻ പടത്തിൽ വരുന്ന.
ഒരു 1000 തവണ ഞാൻ അമ്മച്ചോട് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട് ഈ കാർട്ടൂൺ കാണലോ പാട്ട് കൂടി നിർത്താൻ. പൊട്ടാ കാർട്ടൂൺ അല്ല കോമിക്സ്.
If this doesn't excite you, then there is Raj B. Shetty as the main antagonist.
What a bloody cliche.
Next, I watched Manorathangal Season 1. Man, this show tests your patience and is seldom rewarding. I am not saying that it's a bad adaptation of the great M.T. Vasudevan Nair's stories. Still, I will openly question the creative decision to make it so slow and dull, which makes you constantly look at the screen to check और कितना time बाकी है, inni etra samayam baki undu. All 9 episodes fall under 3 categories, that is good, okayish and boring. Some of them are genuinely good, but the duration becomes problematic, and some of them are so boring as they don't reach a conclusion in the stipulated time. Next, I rewatched A Gentleman. Well, I think we might have wrongly judged this film.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
It has the right intention, but somewhere it gets entangled in a cat and mouse chase with a weak antagonist. I am not saying it's great, but I cannot deny that it had potential, and if given a chance, this could have been our desi rendition of James Bond. Nonetheless, I still think Raj and DK should plan a sequel, but I think they have too much on their plate now.
Working weekends, same shit, different day.
The songs of this film also need a special mention. Next, I watched Oddity. A perfect blend of both horror and suspense. Bare minimum gore and almost no jump scares is what I expect from a good horror suspense thriller film, and Oddity gives that without hesitation. The writing is almost flawless and leaves very little space to question anomalies.
I have to listen to crazy things all night at work. I don't need to hear it when I come home.
The premise is pretty simple and not too extraordinary, but it's the last 5 minutes that made me realize the quality of writing.
What do you think, Ted?
Also, how every loose end gets patched up is a testament to the quality of the story. This is something I expected from Long Legs, but somewhere it could not live up to its hype, especially if you watch Oddity prior to watching Long Legs. I spoke about Long Legs in depth on this channel, so click on the iCard above to check it. Next, I watched Angry Young Man, the Salim-Javed story. This was nostalgia for everyone who has grown up watching Bollywood films, especially films like Sholay, Diwar, Zanjeer and Dawn. And even if you haven't, then you might have at least heard the dialogues.
ये पुलिस स्टेशन है, तुम्हारे बाप का घर नहीं। डॉन का इंतजार तो 11 मुल्कों की पुलिस कर रही है, लेकिन डॉन को पकड़ना मुश्किल ही नहीं, नामुमकिन है।
तेरा क्या होगा कालिया?
सरदार, मैंने आपका नमक खाया सरदार।
अब गोली खा।
तुम लोग मुझे ढूंढ रहे हो और मैं तुम्हारा यहाँ इंतजार कर रहा हूँ। आज मेरे पास बिल्डिंगें हैं, प्रॉपर्टी है, बैंक बैलेंस है, बंगला है, गाड़ी है। क्या है तुम्हारे पास? मेरे पास माँ।
With just 3 episodes, I realized the significance that Salim-Javed have had in the reinvention of Bollywood.
Did about 24 films together, out of which 22 were blockbusters. That is a crazy strike rate. It hasn't happened before. I don't think it's going to happen again.
Next, I watched The Killer. Story-wise, there isn't anything new, but the action set pieces, especially in the climax, was top-notch. If you want to watch an easy breezy action flick with Natalie Emmanuel as a hitman, then The Killer is your go-to.
You're a real life hitman. Hit woman.
It won't be as rewarding as you might expect, but still it's an interesting take at a hit woman and a cop versus bad guys. That's it for this video guys. Comment down what you guys watched in this month and I'll see you next time. और हाँ, अगर वीडियो अच्छा लगे तो सब्सक्राइब जरूर कर देना दोस्तों। मिलते हैं अगली बार। टिल देन, बाय।